Hello, 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 wonderful people. We're back for some more Belcher. Going with a slightly different, I don't know if different's the right word, but a slightly altered build of Tameshi Belcher. I personally am a big fan of Harbinger of the Seas, so I wanted to run a build that has two main and two in the sideboard, which is something I used to do in the, what's it called, the selective memory version. We'll do the preview pane. That makes it easier, I think, to see. We're also playing one of the untapped white sources. Just want to try going up to 13 untapped sources, and another white source I think is fine. Having one less blue source might, affect our ability to whir, but I haven't done the math, but I think we'll be okay. I also went ahead and upped the teachings count. Just recognized a couple times in playing through the being able to teachings for whir or something like a Pact of Negation, Disrupting Shoal, Flare of Denial in the slots where they're powerful, or a card like Commandeer out of the sideboard, um, was powerful enough. And Jawari just, I like Veil over Jawari because Vayne Veil has been a fog for me multiple times and has, bought me a whole turn, whereas Jawari sometimes just is not enough. Obviously, sometimes it is, but that's what I decided to cut, and that's my reasoning behind it. I don't claim to be the expert or know everything about this deck, but I do enjoy it. If you are curious, there is still a primer in the sideboard with the deck list there that I'd probably recommend you playing if you're going to start out on this deck, and there's a sideboard guide for that. I also have a how-to video kind of explaining more in depth how Tameshi interacts with Lotus Bloom and why we, build the deck this way. In the sideboard, you see there are a few changes. I've cut Consign. I've gone down on Disputes. I've added a Ma. Oh, that's another thing. Sorry. Main deck, I'm playing one Unable to Scream over the third Pact of Negation. I felt like I was bringing in enough, and in the main deck, I think it will have enough targets to play one main. I might go up to more main, or I might put the Pact back in, but we're up on Forces and Commandeers and Spell Pierce. I'm playing over um, Mystical and Consign. Otherwise, it's pretty similar sideboard. The reason being, I felt like in the matchups where Consign is good, Spell Pierce is also fine for us in what we're trying to counter. Um, we don't have to bring in Consign to worry about something like Ring because Ring doesn't really affect us. And Mystical Dispute doesn't hit. Well, it does, but you have to pay 3 mana for it to hit something like Unearth. And the Dimir decks are all now playing Unearth with the new Oculus, and the Oculus is very powerful. So Scream obviously answers Oculus. We can Flood Maul the Oculus. We can, Sink into Stupor it back to their hand. Razor Ambush doesn't kill it. I decided on Ambush over Witch just because of the few times that I'm going to cast it. I feel like this has text pretty often, but so anyways, Spell Pierce hits Unearth. It gives us more 1 mana spells to pitch to Shoal, which makes us better. So we're bringing in Screams, Pierce, and Floodmaw against the Oculus deck, so we can keep in our Shoals and have them be effective. Um, I like having two Commandeer in the 75. I do like fitting one main, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll run one main over screen. We'll leave it as is because I already exported it, but go ahead and just launch into a league, Tameshi Harbinger, make sure we're on the right deck. Also join the Discord if you're curious, if you're someone who uses Discord. Very active one. If you ask a question on there, it'll probably be answered, within 5 to 10 minutes. You might not always get an expert answer, but you'll get people will interact with you. And there are, multiple of us who have played the deck in iterations for years who are on there. All the mods are very active. Have been, playing Oops All Spells since Modern Horizons 1 or the Red Green Belcher list. The blue ones kind of came out this year, especially after Modern Horizon 3. And so we're all kind of working as a team. We all enjoy seeing people have success with the deck, see it get popular. It's a lot of fun. So that's my little spiel. We're probably not keeping. Not only do we only have 2 lands, double Shoal, double Tameshi is, doesn't win games. We want to have some form of win con ideally. This one is much more keepable. We have a potential turn 3 whir into turn 4 Belcher. But we're probably just gonna Thunderclap on 2 and hope to hit another untapped source. It's often correct. Or we're gonna use our untapped source for Harbinger. So this is something where like game 2, this mulligan would be a lot more of an informed decision. Is this or this easier to resolve? If it's a blue deck, right, I'm not gonna keep the Belcher in my hand. If it's a deck where Harbinger can win the game, I'm obviously gonna tuck the Thunderclap, keep these three. Um, but blind on game 1 on the play. I basically have to decide whether I want to turn 2 this, turn 3 this, or turn 3 this. I want the option, I think, of these two on turn 3, which I guess means I'm tucking the Thunderclap. This is a less flexible, more all-in mulligan decision. We'll see if it pays off. And it might. If we're playing energy, this is worse. I probably should have like just tucked the Whir against energy. Be able to play Thunderclap into Harbinger into Belcher, ideally. But it is a blue deck, so, you know, Belcher is weaker here. Not having any... This is probably the Oculus build, and I've had it happen like 3 times, I think. I faced the deck twice, so I've played 6 games against it, and 3 times I've had him turn 1 Undercity, put an Oculus in, and turn 2 Unearth it. And it's just like, why is this happening? This should be illegal. But some amount of the time it's going to happen. Would love to have an interaction for Frog, right? If I had a Shoal, I would have kept Veil in my hand, played the Seagate or something, but we have nothing for the Frog. Oh, they're splashing red. I wonder what that's for. Well, this Harbinger will be more effective, assuming it lands. Potentially. I think we go for this instead of trying to Whir on their turn. Because this can't be force negationed, so they're tapped out. This should land. They could have a swamp. Oh no, because this is here, they probably don't have another swamp, so this is probably not getting fatal pushed. They obviously can give this flying or buff it up. We can't afford to block it, but I think they're thinking, oh, they had, what is this? Incubation incongruity. What does this even do? Look at the top 5, reveal creature, put it in your hand, put the rest on bottom. Weird. So they're green too? Is this a 5-color deck? I guess they could just be playing it for the blue side to dig for Oculus. Okay, so anyways, this gets subbed. Do we want to draw it next turn? Probably not. I don't know. They're gonna get to draw a card, hit us, have 3 lands out. If they play a fetch, they could fetch around Harbinger. I guess I want to make them play around it, even if I'm not going to play it. Because I think we're just going to try to jam Belcher. Or, I guess it depends on what they do this turn. I might go for the Whir Lotus, but if we do that, we're, 2 things have to resolve. And if we just jam Belcher, then the next turn, we're getting close to worrying for Belcher. 6 cards in hand. Incubation. What are we doing here? Maybe it's like a Death Shadow build? I could see a Frog, Oculus, Death Shadow build being good. Oliphant. Okay, you've thoroughly confused me, opponent. My apologies if this is probably a known deck. Everyone's like, you're dumb. This is what it is. Let's see, what's new? Is it Domain Zoo? Is Zoo playing Celties and Frogs now? No. Still looks like I remember. Can't be Living End. Grinding Station. Okay, so it's not something super popular, at least. I like people playing decks that aren't super popular. Obviously, he left himself 1 blue, 1. He got a float of black mana. He can't push it. He can have like Dismember. It's interesting to use Oliphant and didn't get a basic. I think we're just gonna try to jam it again. Play out the Specimen, I guess. Surprising. What does he have in blue that could answer this? I mean, Frog is a decent clock and draws him cards, so it's not nothing, but he can still cast all his counter magic. But we can try to whir end of turn and then Belcher on our turn. That's the idea. We can let whir resolve and then we just get Lotus Bloom and it doesn't really do anything. So I don't know if we want to do that whir until we can whir for a Belcher. He has basic mountain. I wonder if he was holding basic mountain the whole time. But still surprised not to just see like a bolt or something here. We got Shoal. So we're gonna hold up Shoal for 3 and go for Belcher, but he could just... We've actually oddly made him better at casting Counterspell, but I'm not convinced at what our opponent's doing here. I think it's safe to say this isn't a known list. I wonder if something like Spike has played recently. His decks show up a lot. Big question here is whether or not we play this out as a land, whether we just try to jam Charbelcher this turn. I can counter a Force of Negation, but not a... Oh, I can't pay mana if I'm casting the Belcher. The other option is pass a turn, but every turn I pass, he's drawing 2 cards to my 1. I'm going to go ahead and try to jam it. Let's force him to have it here. If he has the counter spell, we'll play this out as a land and go for... Then we're only 2 away from a whir. Okay, just Flare of Denial. Do you also have a Spell Pierce? Question mark. It's actually a debate as to what's the better 3-drop to get rid of there. If we get rid of whir though and he counters this, we're just completely blown out, but we're kind of blown out either way. Belcher resolves. So does it survive a turn is our question now. Can't do anything, so I'm just gonna pass the turn. Love to have a pact negation here or something. Yep, it's fast. So there you go. I mean, against you know, they do have counter magic, some sort of subtlety, flare deck. Like you do have to force them to have it, and that is a benefit of playing a combo deck. Is like once a spell resolves, you win. They saw Harbinger game 1. They do play basics, so we might just sideboard out of it. Give them the old switcheroo. I think we want Screams against Frog. I'm not really convinced of what else their deck is doing yet to bring in Pierces. We saw Flare, but I don't know if they're playing Counterspell because they weren't fetching like they could cast it. It seems like blue's almost their splash, like their Rakdos deck. Splashing Frog. Is there any popular Rakdos deck? Just scrolling through a page right now. I was trying to see what else I can find. Like they probably have Bowmasters. They're in black, but we're not drawing a lot of extra cards. I don't know. It's fun. It's fun sideboarding against unknown. I want to bring in a Commandeer because I like the card Commandeer. Floodmaw answers everything. Portable Hole can answer everything. Maybe not Commandeer. Me liking it isn't good enough. I'll cut a Flare. I assume they have some removal, and I took out some of my creatures. We'll go down a Tameshi, down a Bloom. It's not a good top deck. It is good on turn 1, but it's not a good top deck. I'm going to keep my Belchers. They probably are playing Consigned, but I'm not convinced they're a typical blue-black build yet. Maybe I go down another Bloom because I kind of want this pact to win Counterspell Wars. I don't know. I guess I could just sideboard like it's Dimir Frog, but it's a distinctly different deck. This hand has so many good cards, but it only has... I could put, 2 lands, Thundercap, find a 3rd land. Whir and Tameshi can probably get me there. We'll keep it. I'm on the draw, won a game. We'll see what happens. I'll probably just regret keeping no interaction, and he's gonna like, what's it called? What's that red-black Shadowmoor card that kills a land? I can't remember. Man, I'm just blanking. I've played it so much in Modern for so long. What's our opponent doing? They didn't. We'll see if they fetch around Harbinger. Maybe I should have kept all four in. What is our opponent doing? Okay, yeah, they got the. Oh, this thing, Overlord of Balemark. How does he work again? 5 counters and isn't a creature until the last one's move. End step, remove a time counter. When it enters or attacks, mill 4 cards. Return a non-avatar creature card or planeswalker from your graveyard to hand. 5/5 doesn't have flying. Okay, interesting. Weird. I'm pretty certain this is a right on time Lotus Bloom. What's it called? Aspiring Spike list. Might go look through his deck list, but it doesn't make for good content for me to just be scrolling off screen. Gotta take the land here. Doesn't feel great, but we get to hold up Flare Denial, so that's nice. If we fight over something now, it makes more likely that our other stuff resolves. Would love for this to be an untapped land, but alas, it isn't. Oh, that was another reason why I didn't play Witch Enchanter, is that Thunderclap and Philology can't pick up Witch Enchanter, but they can get the Razor, whatever it is, ambush card. No actions from our opponent. Holding up 1 blue, 1 red. Blue or black and red. We'll play out the Bane Veil. Feels bad to kind of skip a turn here. Would have loved to jam Tameshi, but it is what it is. Fulminator Mage, by the way, is the card I was thinking of earlier and couldn't remember. Fulminator Mage has Sacrifice, Destroy Land, and he's red-black mana. What is our opponent doing? Waiting for this 5/5 to come down and mill and then return a card to his hand like Subtlety, I guess. Then he gets to use it. He's going to clean up step Archon. Does he want to return that to his hand? Maybe he's a Persist deck? Maybe he's got a Persist next turn? I'm so genuinely confused. Do I want to go for a Bloom? I would have double Bloom next turn. I don't need that, so we'll go for Tameshi. I guess I could train her for another interaction spell. Oh, he's got a mystical dispute now? What's awkward here is, like, I could counter this. Then he could just have removal. Do I want to fight over it now? I think I'll just fight over it now. I think this just resolves, and it means very likely that we win next turn. Maybe not. I shouldn't have with that there. I should have waited to counter this Persist. That was a mistake. Don't do what I just did. I forgot. I blanked out. Yeah, we're gonna die to this. I mean, we're not dead, but this Tameshi's dead, which made what we did kind of useless. I'll get rid of a Belcher. Maybe that was wrong too. We can still win this turn, so I don't know what he's gonna do with 1 black mana to stop us from going off this turn. I guess there's things he could do. I'm trying to think of if I should play a land out first. I don't think so. I think we just go for it. Pretty certain we just win here, yeah. I wish you would just automatically use this MTGO. Okay. We got there. Dun 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 dun. Our nice round table. Dance whenever we're able. Guess he kept a low land hand. This is a very slow card. I think there's a card that somehow cheats. I guess you can persist him out, right? Anyway, we'll jump into another game. It seems like that's like just a worse frog deck than the Oculus one. I mean, I like persisting things as much as the next guy. I brewed a lot of persist decks with Archon, of course. Krexel Bow. Krexel Bow. Let's see. We only have one land and one bloom. Not quite good enough. Again, this deck does not mulligan super well. Okay, 3 lands. Now the question is, we already have 2 untapped lands, which is nice because we go Thunderclap into Harbinger, but don't really want to lose Flare. But Flare doesn't really protect Harbinger. I think I'll just tuck the Harbinger. This is like always good, this 6 versus Harbinger only being good sometimes. What is that card called? Was that Jund Delirium? Is that the deck everyone? No, that's FOMO. FOMO decks are Delirium that's smashing fast. I'm trying to figure out what we were facing, but I can't find any list for it. Play out our Suppression Ray. Heal the turn. Or our Orderly Plaza. It's never actually played as Suppression Ray. Can't really think of an instance where you'd want to cast this 5 mana sorcery that does nothing in this deck. There are technically board states you can build in Modern where that would be helpful, but they're few and far between. You know, if someone's playing Possibility Storm, maybe. That's not ideal, but we can't afford to Pact Negation a Kozilek. If he's smart, he should take our Sink into Stupor. But he might take the Flare, Pact, or Thunderclap. I mean, they're all okay options. Pact is his worst option. He should take the Sink or the Thunderclap. So I always say Thunderclap because I'm used to playing WoW, and Thunderclap is a spell that a tank uses as a warrior all the time, and I played a warrior tank for a long time. But it is actually called Thunder Trap Trainer, so my apologies. I will continue to make that mistake. You can comment every time I make that mistake if you want. Our opponent was smart. He heard me talking. Oh, we're playing a Lantern. Wow. What a interesting matchup. This will be rough. I'm going to assume this will be rough. They likely have multiple needle effects, and we are playing kind of an all-in version. It would have been so much better if I kept my Harbinger against this deck, although he would have just taken it there. But it is what it is. We'll play with what we got. We definitely want to play this out. If nothing else, we need to fuel our flare, but I'm trying to think how we win this. Wow, what a bad Thunder Trap. Okay. I clicked it. Come on, let's go, let's go. Well, we need one more ideally untapped source. We have a tapped source here. They're gonna go get a needle with this, so we need to sink into Stupor. Probably just takes our land here, so I can't afford that. Some debate to keeping out a clock, but can't afford to be stuck on 2 lands. Well, 3 ideally. There's bridge. Usually that's, good, but against us it doesn't really do anything. If we didn't have Saga, I wouldn't be too worried. But this Saga is likely getting a Pithing Needle. Which means we have to find another... How many times do I have to click this? Jeez. Sink into Stupor in order to bounce it. But we can we'll get our Belcher out. Then we want to somehow get up to 6 mana. Doesn't kill us fast, but also he will start milling us, and we need to have over 17 cards for Belcher to actually be lethal, so that's another. Profane Tutor is not ideal. He can double up on his needle effects. We will definitely play this, get this out now. We have a sink on top, so he's got to mill it, of course. Unfortunate. Didn't really want to reveal that now. We don't have any way to pick up sinks. What do we have main deck? I didn't main deck. I thought about main decking into the Floodmaw over the one of Scream, but I didn't, so it doesn't help us. Got another Pixies. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know that we're going to be able to win this. Oh, if we get to draw that, that's nice. Is there any upside or downside to just playing out this other Belcher? I think we just play it out. I'm going to go ahead and counter the tutor. As far as cards go that we're going to counter, this is probably our best one to counter. We'll pay for it next turn. Next turn, ideally, we pay for this, play out the Veil, and if he lets us draw the Seagate, then we just gotta wait a couple turns to cast it. So we have cards in our hand, and then hopefully it draws something good. And then we're, not below 20 cards in our deck. Let's say if he lets me draw that, oh, another one. Oh, another one. Oh, wow, we hit it. Some runners. How does it get where? I wish I had this portable hole main, but I don't. It is a way to shuffle our deck, though. Well, I wish I could cast it now to get this off the top of the deck. But I can't. Oh well. Ash Trophy. That is a reason to play out the second Belcher. Interesting. I don't think we're going to win this game one. M2 will have a few more tools, but very limited this game. Upkeep. Let's go ahead and... Oh, I don't want that. Do this. Oh, good shuffler there, deck. Come on. I didn't realize that Suppression Wave does actually tap the creatures, but it does it at sorcery speed, so it doesn't ever help our deck out. Okay, we're pretty well gonna be out of this game soon. We unfortunately have already lost multiple 2 Sea Gates, 3 sinks, I think. The question is, how much of a glutton are we for punishment? I guess technically Hydroelectric Specimen can start doing things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna hold on to the Suppression Ray because of possibly getting a Sea Gate, and I'm gonna play out this Specimen. So exile 1, Shoal, that's fine. Veil's fine to go. We're halfway through our deck now. Another Specimen left on top. The end step, we'll cast this one. Cage. Cards in graveyards. So yeah, this shuts down our Whirs. Scream is useless. Can't do anything about it. Tameshi would be great. Not great, I guess, but we could pick up the Seagate and likely win if he lets us get this card. But I don't think he's gonna let us get it. Logi Digs, Pact is bad. Does he let us keep it? No, keep milling. Heyo, another Tameshi. Just pass the turn. Second Needle might be locking it up at this point. I don't have 16 turns because he's milling 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 4 cards a turn. I only have 6 turns, so I'm empty. So can't kill him in time. Is he gonna let me draw this? No. Okay. Let me draw that. Yeah. Seems good. Point is playing well. Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and concede at this point. They got it locked up. Okay. So sideboard. Taking out our colorless cards. We get to go up on our answers to permanents. We get to go up on our harbingers. We definitely want commandeers and force negations because if we can keep their stuff off the board, we'll be okay. Spell pierce. Spell pierce is a maybe. Probably cut the packs because we're trying to interact on turns 1 through 3 for the most part. We'll keep the flares. I probably want pierce over flare, honestly. Shoal with Pierce's portable and Floodmaw is slightly better, but I guess Shoals are actually I could pay for them, but I think I want Flares more than Shoals and Pierce's more than Shoals. Something like that. I want to keep Tameshi's. I'll cut a Falaji just because he kind of plays into their game plan. But I added mostly blue cards, so it keeps my Commandeers and Forces active. What do you got here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Some interaction. About as good as we can ask for. Obviously, I'd prefer to see a Spell Pierce. Or what else would be good here? Spell Pierce would be nice. He thought seizes us. It's not ideal. Lantern turn 1. Yeah, okay. Can let Lantern resolve. We can't let that resolve. We call casting anything this turn. Guess we'll play out that one. Can't think of a 2-drop we want to counter. Profane Tutor is something that we could like shoal for X0 by paying 2 mana, but you can't do that right away. We're obviously gonna force the needle. That's the only, we didn't have a 1-drop. There it is. Stupid card. I could force this, but then that also just leaves his needle right open, and we're losing 2 cards, and then versus getting Thoughtseize, we lose just our best card. Our best card kind of is Force Negation. I assume that's what he's gonna take. This hand isn't as good if he, like taking my lands, although he might take this. If he takes that, then we get to force the needle. I think he's taking force here no matter what. We didn't really have a way to play around Thoughtseize plus needle this turn. But I can't bounce it, but he can just cast it again. But I can Harbinger next turn, I suppose, is what I'm going to try to do. He can't take... We have 3 untapped lands, so we can Harbinger next turn no matter what, which is nice. Depending on what he does. If this is his only land, then I might not play Harbinger just because I want to hold up Shoal for 1 plus Force Negation in case he does draw land and has this Duress plus Needle in his hand. Took our Belcher. Not what I was expecting. Shocks himself and keeps mana open. What instant speed interaction does he have? Extra brigade. I can't force it. I can't show it. Okay. It sucks that this is gonna shovel this away. It'd be great if he could just take our Goblin Jar Belchers and leave this top. Because that's gonna be our win con now. I did sideboard them out, friend. 1 or 2? Took 2 out. It's probably like, what? What is his win con? That's my win con, friend. Little Merfolk Wizards and Counter Magic. Shove away this Harbinger. I think we're just playing out Specimen this turn, holding up Force. Now we don't care about needles. He can needle Tameshi, I guess, but we're not really too worried about that. We have to fight over his. So we want to keep a 3-drop in hand with our Shoal and our Force. Guess we can't do all that and play this, depending on what we draw. But it should be good. This is taking a long time, and I have a meeting in 20 minutes. We'll see if we can win. Interesting draw. I'm going to go ahead and play out this one, and I guess pass the turn. We'll hold up. I can cast Specimen. I can Shoal for 1. I can Shoal for 3. I can cast Sync. I can cast Force. I can pitch for Force. I can pitch for Shoal. A lot of options here. Duress. I'm under duress. I'm just going to let him take a card and cast Specimen, I think. He can't take this one. So, yeah. I'm spending a card to counter this, and any of the cards he's going to take, I basically am spending to counter it, and I'd rather just spend my mana to get a threat on the board. Kind of a weird way this is lining up. So it's like I could have used Shoal. I could have pitched into the Flood Maw, but then again, I'm losing 2 cards instead of 1. Giving him the options feels bad, but it is what it is. Do. Doesn't have any mill rocks yet. He obviously brought in counter magic and extirpate. Extirpate. Can't interact with the extirpate. Split Second is such a crazy card. Cool. I'm just gonna cast this now. I'm not gonna yield through turn because he could play something that I want to force negation. Again, I don't really care about Needle, especially bounce it if I want. Might just bounce it, make him recast Lantern or whatever. It's unfortunate that I have a meeting soon because this is a game where I might run our opponent out of clock if I played out all of game 1, and then I might have. That would be a potential win con. Like that would be how I'm trying to win. I think if I was, how they say, sweating this league and really wanted to win the league, it's like, oh, I could just get a win because my opponent's taking forever. And last game I would have had to make him play out, 5 more turns of clicking 4 mill rocks. I mean, I don't know. I guess. You're taking a card anyway, so I'll trade a card that I want to trade versus these ones, I suppose. I can still force a. He has land. Well, I can't have land plus bridge, so. Astro. I mean, I have this card. Suppose you're making me use my mana, I guess, and my card. I assume he still has at least 1 bridge in there. But maybe he doesn't. I mean, milling his own, what's it called? His own, what's it called? Is a bold strategy. Portable Hole can't answer, bridge. So I'm going to go ahead and just take his lantern so that he can't use this to manipulate his draws. Because right now he has to find a bridge. He has 15 turns, but this also means he won't know what we're drawing, which is nice. Obviously, he knows what we have now is Commandeer. So we're giving our opponent less interaction, less hope. When he draws his bridge, he's in good shape. Well, no, we can just bounce it. Well, so we have to find a counter spell for when we bounce his bridge. So he knows he didn't want to draw. What was it? An Inquisition or something. Yep, you got my Flood Maw. Great. You did it, friend. Flare is great. We can just hardcast it as a cancel. I assume he keeps doing Pixis blind, but he probably cut down on lanterns. You usually do game 2. Played a lot of Lantern back when it wasn't green black, when it didn't play when we got to play Whir and Lantern, it was great. Good old days before Besejus and lots of other nonsense. I don't know why he wants his. That's funny. He says, "Give me back my lantern." Never. Oh! Don't do that. I want to see what I drew. It's just a disrupting show. Well, we can't use it, so I will just pass the turn. Interesting, he didn't hit our specimen there. That's probably correct. What can he go get with the Saga? Well, he can make blockers with the Saga. That's not ideal. I can't really shoal this Ray, so I'll play it. He's gonna make a 3/3. Man, Saga's such a busted card. Because we attack while the attacking's good, but now we're not gonna be able to. I don't think I have a way to interact with that, right? Into the Flood Maw. Into the Flood Maw could deal with one token, and a Sink could deal with the token, I guess. But it's a really good blocker he found in the form of an uncounterable land that makes 2 blockers and goes and gets a thing. So he probably has this one locked away. Like I said, he is down 3 minutes. If I made him play this out, this game could last probably another 10 minutes. I don't know. He has to get multiple mill rocks going before it starts moving relatively fast. And if I made him play out the first game, there's a possibility. I think I'd have to get to game 3, really, to have that be a... Don't really know what our opponent's doing. I feel like I feel like they have a pretty easy turn right now, so maybe they just something in real life distracted them or something. They're down now more than 4 minutes on clock. I forget, did I pick up Miro Shards? I wanted to try that and I totally forgot. It's not loading. It's not here. Okay. Go to... I could have showed that bubble, but... Oh well. Another specimen. When he makes one, it will be a 1, 2, 3. Don't think he has a way to make it a 4/4. It's not, probably not a reason. He could have extirpate. I can't counter it. Why can't I counter the spell? Okay, take all my Syncotus Stupors, I guess. That is effective at giving me less ways to interact with your Saga tokens. What the Saga? So he drew that off Bobble. It's a good draw. Good draw, friend. I can't believe people are still playing Lantern in this climate. I don't like that Blooming Marsh at all. I like that it got reprinted though, so always a fan of reprints. Every card should be less than $20. It's gonna have 2 blockers, I'll have 2 attackers, so we're perfectly at parity. Looking at how this developed, maybe I should have just... No, if I into the Flood Mod something, he would have had a 1/1 blocker, so... Sorry. Didn't know that would, like, take over my screen. Want to test out this card in the sideboard. You pay 2 life, or a white mana to do 1 damage to each attacking creature as a energy slash any Ragavan Raptor decks. Obviously not the decks we faced, but man, MTGO is laggy. There we go. Figured it out. It's like, no, you have to click it again. This isn't the one I clicked. Kids these days. Now the problem is he makes another one. There are 4/4s, plus he goes and gets one, so then become 5/5s. And then I'm just like dead in 2 turns. I mean, Saga is a great card for Lantern. It's just like this deck is so slow. Like, how does he survive against energy? I guess I haven't seen a lot of energy lately, so you'd be playing a lot of blue decks. A lot of blue decks. Bridge is great against the new Oculus, I guess. Worse against the Frog, but... Coffee, the thing... Can't do anything about any... everything he's done this turn. Can't counterspell. So now he has 6. So I'm dead so fast. Oh well. That's good games. Guess he wouldn't have run out of time. Like I said, I would have had to win this game to win by time. Even if, say, there was another 3 minutes missing from his clock. Tameshi's like a fun draw, but I don't think it does anything. If I had Bloom, I could make a bunch of mana and pick up Seagate Restoration and go ham, but I don't have a Bloom. If I get one, I can't get it into play fast. I could get a Whir, I guess, into Bloom. I'm not dead. I'm not dead yet, but this is a pretty far-fetched thing that needs to happen for me to get there. The one benefit being our opponent is just top decking now. He doesn't have another Saga currently. Oh, I thought he activated that. I was like, did he really just exile 2 cards and we drew the exact same cards? So now there's 7/7s. We'll chump block 1, go to 4. Could chump block both, but it's effectively the same. This way we have another body for a turn if that ends up being relevant. Hey, there's this bridge. Exile the bridge. Ooh, Seagate top. I like that. I assume he's gonna make me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I'm 1 mana short. No, I'm 2 mana short. Never mind. Yeah, I guess we basically had to draw a Whir there, right? And if I could, it would be 1, 2, 3. Whir. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 mana. Seagate would have only drawn me. This would be a Whir, so I only draw me 2 cards. So what did I have to get? Oh no, he would draw me another one. So I would be at 2, so it would draw me 3. So I'd see 4 more cards to hopefully hit what? Harbinger. We can't get Sink into Stupor, or I mean, I'm trying to think of like if there was actually an out here. The Flood Mods in the graveyard. We have no way to get stuff back from the graveyard except for artifacts and enchantments. So yeah, I don't know that we actually had outs here without our Sinks, Belchers, to these constructs. Fun to think about. What do we have? I guess I could have just, yeah, played a couple otters and stuff. I didn't have to make all that mana. Interesting. Interesting. Hope you enjoyed. I'll try to record the rest of the league later.